One of the things I enjoy is teaching. Whenever I meet students from 100 level and trying to know why their interests are in cybercrime or cybersecurity. Whenever I show them this, they start laughing because they can't remember when you had to fight with your sibling to be able to use the phone. They don't know when there was no email. So what technology, what Zuckerberg, what Bill Gates have done is look at the way we are communicating, use technology to enable it. And I can tell you, because of the enabling transformation of digital innovation, criminals have also transformed.
We're talking about cybercrime in Africa. Where are we? I think we are where we should not be. What are we doing about it?
We're moving to a more decentralized web, whereby you take control back of your data. That was the whole essence of creating the web. I mean, under the GDPR, you have a right to be forgotten. You can say, look, JAM, stop keeping my results after 5 years. Because I feel because I got an F9 in English, my results should not be online, for example.
Do you know that MTN, Airtel, whatever you choose to call them, put together have more information about you and I than NIMSI, than Federal Road Safety Corps, and every other agency of government? And can you tell me whether these organizations are Nigerian? You travel out through BA, you come back, you throw away the stub of your ticket. With that ticket, is it possible to trace everything about you, including your house address? The answer is yes. Your phone is an Android phone, you switch it off. The battery is not there even. And the battery is dead, it's switched off, and there's no SIM. Can I use it to trace you wherever you are? The answer is yes. You procure equipments in Africa, where do you get them from? Outside Africa. Are most of them now technology enabled? The answer is yes. Can they be demobilized remotely? The answer is yes. Is that where Africa is? The answer is yes. Your ATM card, IBTC, the bank, UBA, I go there, slot in my ATM card, I collect money in 30 seconds. Safe, isn't it? But somebody is circling the place within a radius of, I think, 100 to 200. Phishing. When I send my PIN, it travels through cyberspace, and if somebody is monitoring it, he picks it up, draws everything in my account. True or false, Ayeba? That's where Africa is. And we all have ATM cards, and we brag about it.
I always ask people when I play these slides, what is the connection between Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram? Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram are owned by the same person. So Zuckerberg knows more about you than the database of Interpol. Is that true? Is that a possibility? Because Interpol will keep data of your criminal record while your real data is being kept by social media companies, tech companies. If you don't protect them, if you don't have laws, if you don't have the law enforcement to investigate it, game over. So globally, technology has enabled crime, but also enabled law enforcement to be able to detect, prevent, investigate, and prosecute crime as well.
First of all, we were challenged with 419. Then there's Advanced Fraud Act 2006 to now deal with the current problem. Then it migrated to cyber. We couldn't have cyber laws until 2015. We have the Cybercrime Act 2015. All the crimes that are being committed online have been captured within Cybercrime Act.
Cyber crimes affect all countries of the world. However, that of Africa is so deep because of our weak network and security governance, which particularly makes African countries to be so vulnerable.
What is cybercrime? This was 90s, early 2000s when people were going to cafes. Now it's the other way around. We're playing catch up, right? Because technology has enabled somebody from going to a cafe. So for this conversation, we're going to stick with two different definitions: cyber-dependent crimes and cyber-enabled crimes. What are cyber-enabled crimes? Traditional crimes that have been enabled by what? Technology. Bullying, stalking. For me to stalk my big brother Umar and be calling him and going to his house, all I can do, I can just send him a message. Bullying, impersonation have been enabled by crime. Recruitment, terrorists. ISIS did what no other terrorist organization has done. They were able to recruit more than 100,000 fighters from over 100 countries without stepping a foot in any of these countries. So they use the power of social media for recruitment. Why do people commit crime? The moment, let's say I was born yesterday, can you know if I'm going to be a Yahoo boy or a terrorist or a drug trafficker? Is it the environment? Is it nature or nurture? Why do people commit crime? So I'm going to base this presentation on this theory. So this theory, a couple of guys came and said, look, any crime in the world, for it to take place, these three things must converge in time and space. One, there must be a motivated offender. What is motivating? Greed, financial advantage, right? There must be a suitable target. Meaning before, I would have to go to you and steal your information, but all I can do now, I can just do it remotely. Absence of a capable guardian. Is that law enforcement? Is that antivirus? Is that protection of critical infrastructure? So we're going to see who is a motivated offender, who is a suitable target, and also absence of a capable guardian.
Delta State, followed by Lagos and Edo states, have the highest incidence when it comes to cyber crimes. We are being efficient but not being effective. The outcomes are not too good. And that's because of our poor data governance architecture across the continent. And this has affected enforcement. We have weak enforcement within the continent. For instance, you take the case of Hush Puppy. He was apprehended and in no time he was convicted, I guess. But when you look at several cases back and forth from courts, which is also as a result of our weak criminal justice system, we have so many of these boys, they get off the hook as a result of corruption, some also as a result of the justice system not being strong enough. And when the young people and the people who are involved in these crimes cannot see people convicted, then they are going to continue. We cannot divorce cybercrime from lack of the dividends of governance in our country, because when you look at the economic demography of those who have been involved, they have come from poor backgrounds mostly, and this issue of them trying to rise from grass to grace has always been a motivating factor.
However, one important thing about Hush Puppy's case is all the evidence against Hush Puppy was given to them by whom? Hush Puppy himself. He put everything on Instagram. And in every country, especially the EFCC, I know Section 7, which is the special power of the EFCC, is that they can investigate you as a person or your properties. Obviously, remember when we were complaining, no forensics, they set up a forensic lab. We started complaining, no training, they trained us. Then we started complaining, workload. And everybody is faced with workload. You know, on a daily basis, you can have close to 100 cases on your head. Digital devices that someone in investigation is relying upon to conduct his investigation. So what are we doing about it? AI, predictive. I'm very proud of the Casper initiative. That would really help, evidence-based investigation, forensics based on science. You know, when they say somebody has died, you need a pathologist to come and give his opinion on how he died. You can't bring somebody and say he's an expert. And especially in my field of cybersecurity, the moment somebody does a certification, he's already an expert. But the basic elementary are missing. Evidence-based policing.
So if you look at the agencies, the police, the customs, all these agencies have internal databases. There's little collaboration, and working in AI is very rich, and it's the new oil. With data analytics and AI, we can uncover a lot of insights. We can monitor crimes in real time. We can detect detect crimes when at the points they are happening. We can also mitigate these crimes. So, and through data analytics, we can also prevent. So, using technological solutions, we can use AI solutions that detect crimes in real time using tools like Casper, report and detect, monitor, and then we can mitigate these crimes, these cyber crimes, and also use predictive models to prevent to predict possibility of crimes in future and handle them. So where we currently are, like I mentioned, we have a lot of things to do. We are not tapping into data as we should. There's need for institutions, for the government, and for private sector to invest in AI, in data analytics, to collaborate and share information. Most of the presentations have been emphasizing on the need to have more access to data, have more access to information on people who commit crimes. So it's very important having building this, investing in data solutions will enable security agencies to be able to share information, gain insights to data, and also prevent these crimes. So with regards to what we are supposed to be doing about data, like I said, the Casper project is a very key project and has room for a lot of possibilities, being able to uncover a lot of crimes from public data, and this can be extended to even private classified data.
One of the biggest problems we have in technology today is overconfidence on the side of the tech experts and also the users. The tech expert seems to think that his technology is impregnable, and that's what I call the Enigma machine saga. You remember in the Second World War, you have the Germans having the Enigma machine, and they thought that it can never be broken, and then the English actually broke it, and so on and so forth. So that overconfidence makes you to lag. You now don't upgrade your systems, and that opens you up to lots of attacks. But if you look a bit closer, you come to realize that even though the confidence is there, when you sit down with these tech experts and you talk to them, you come to realize that they actually don't really even know much about the tech itself. I was in Sudan 2 years ago. I was actually there when the war started, another story. And I was supposed to work with a ministry, I'm not going to call the name, and to help them rebuild their system. The first question I asked them is, okay, fine, we're going to rebuild your website and so on and so forth. So where is your API? They have no idea what an API is. I don't know why. I tried to explain, nothing was coming up. What is an API? An API stands for Application Programming Interface. For example, and what is an application programming interface? For example, imagine a situation whereby you were going to have breakfast this morning and you all stood in a queue, right? The person that is serving you that food, the tea and so on and so forth, can be regarded as the API. And then the food is the database, meaning that you have to now come to him, make a request that you want tea, you want the meat, and so on and so forth, and then he gives it to you. The same is the case with you and your banks, for example. Your mobile phone connects to the API makes the call to the database, and then you now make your transfers and so on and so forth. So after knowing what an API is, you now come to now ask a question, okay, then what are the problems that can actually arise here? Sometimes you now see that you have slow speed in interacting with your banks and so on and so forth. That is because something called a memory leak actually happened. A memory leak can actually happen if you have too many requests going to the API, or if someone is actually bombarding the API with lots of requests to do what you call the denial of access attack. Because if you now slow down the system, then you'll not be able to have access to now make your bank transaction and so on and so forth. And one of the main reasons why this happens is because of the kind of technologies we actually use to build our bank applications and so on and so forth. I think if we really want to secure our system, we have to find a way to centralize our API.
I also affiliate with Cambridge University Evidence-Based Center for Policing. So what they said that they noticed the streets that had street lights and CCTV had less crime. So they needed not to add too much people on patrol. So to their own, it has helped. Then the streets that didn't have CCTV or street lights are more likely to be hotspots for crime. Cyber offensive, we are not longer in the defensive, we're being offensive in terms of protecting critical national and national infrastructures rather. We're seeing quite a lot of policies coming up, the national cybersecurity policy anchored on cybercrime, cyber terrorism, protection of critical national infrastructure. I can tell you number 6 is one of the most difficult kind of crimes to investigate, online sexual exploitation of children. In fact, in the UK and US, once you see those pictures for investigation, you're put on mental evaluation because you're going to see very gory pictures. But gladly, AI has been able to take care of that. You have artificial intelligence that will be able to detect and see those pictures and to be able to, give that conclusion that, in fact, it's a picture of a minor. Web 3.0, very important. It's already coming. Control of your data is more secured. At the same time, just like it's giving me the security I need, but it's also enabling a criminal to commit his crime.
In cybercrime today is not a question of if, but when. So it will definitely happen, but when will it happen? So it is if it happens, how are we prepared for it? So the major problem is the agencies we're here is we operate in a silo. That is the biggest problem. Everybody is making its own effort to fight the crime, but the entire ecosystem is operating in a silo. So the system is not working or is not functional. You find out that, yes, the Interpol is there, nobody is tapping their information, ICPC are doing their own, the EFCC are trying to put on their own effort, then the API scenario, I was giving some people yesterday, we have to explain to them. If you are talking about all this artificial intelligence is made up of 3 things. The software, which is just 5%, maybe the architect of this, which is then the information, 65%. So how do you access the information? I can only access the information from road safety if they give me an API to connect to their information. So if I don't have that, I don't have any. So we have information in Nigeria lying in silos, and you cannot access information because I have to walk maybe physically to road safety to check if the license is actually genuine or fake. I have to walk to Nigeria immigration to confirm if the person have a passport and what is his passport number and the data. So I have to walk up to. That is how we are, and we cannot fight it, and it makes us vulnerable. The second aspect is unorganized crime. If you look at the organized crime today, even in Italy, where we have the mafias, the West African organized crime is labeled as the 4th mafia in Italy. Why? Because the entire organized crime needs money for 2 things. If it is terrorism, they need to fund it with money. If it is other financial crimes, the money is the end result. So how do they move it? It becomes so simple and so easy with the crypto world.
We keep talking about the issue of cybercrime and what have you. There are quite a number of people that we know working in communities that are doing issues, that are partaking in issues of cybercrime, but not knowing that that is what they are doing because the information is not there. So I will come back to what he said on issues of data and working in silos. A lot of organizations, including civil society organizations and government agencies, are working in silos. So the biggest point is secrecy. That's the biggest point. And then the second thing is issues of that decentralization, where someone has data, but he or she don't know that that data is the data you're looking for. So that person will not give you. And one of the last thing is issue of sustainability, yes, and stability when it comes to this kind of a thing. So I think one of the things we can do to really help Africa to get to where we want to be is when we get to put the information out there for people to understand that what you're doing is cybercrime. And if it go on, it will cause more harm to you and the country at large.
Futuristic crime. In Israel, somebody has been convicted of cyber rape. It was very laughable to me till I read about the judgment. Cyber rape. You hear about cybercrime, cyber warfare, cyber rape. It's very interesting. Industrial genocide. We've seen the war between Ukraine and Russia, having drones with payloads doing a kamikaze on ships. We're seeing that cyber-enabled crimes are changing. I'm glad quite a lot of the people in law enforcement can attest that progress is being done. Futuristic policing. So policing is not just the area of the national police. I mean, who polices the highways we have, FRIC? Who polices issues of anti-narcotics, NDLA, human trafficking, NAPTIP, immigration? So you have to use technology. Enable process, enable the people, and also have a robust framework on ground to be able to conduct your investigation. Important, accreditation is very, very important. You need to be accredited, your lab would need to be accredited so that whatever result is coming out from your lab, it is admissible. Very, very important. It is reliable and dependable. So that gives you kind of a leeway to say, look, if I go to court and testify as an expert, that my lab is accredited by ISO 17025, which is the standard for laboratory management systems. So it's very, very important that individuals are accredited as well as institutions.
People ought to know. They ought to know when they're doing something wrong. They ought to know how they're making themselves vulnerable. They also ought to know the value of data they sometimes have, but don't know its implications. That's important. What we can extrapolate from that and say round up is, talking about Africa, cybercrime, where are we? I think we're where we should not be in the 21st century. Do we agree? This is a data, ICT, cyber intelligence-driven world where we shouldn't be. The other thing then is, what are we doing about it? The question is, do we know enough to even begin to do anything about it? So my inference from the panelists include the following. Number one, there is need for increased awareness. At the personal level, for instance, if you remember what we started with, the danger we subject ourselves to with the handsets we have, at the level of personal awareness, that's important. At the level of institutional awareness, that's also important. And beginning with something as simple as your location on the phone, it could do a lot of damage. So putting it all together, Africa, 3 central questions. Where are we in cybersecurity? Answer. We are not where the rest of the world is, and we are worried that we may not be moving fast enough in the direction we ought to be. In terms of what to do about it, we need, in the case of Nigeria, greater interagency cooperation in data exchange and information. At the level of public consciousness, greater awareness, especially among the young people who don't know their vulnerability, who know they are building up strong profiles in the media that is usually access to assess them outside the country, and the level of governance to impute that kind of awareness as well. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I believe that our brief here is up. Thank you very much.